Hello, sunshine. How are y'all doing today? Thank you for joining Being Awesome with Yvette. And today, me and Anita are talking about just how having a better relationship with God, yourself, and the people in your life, to be better, to become a better version of yourself. And sometimes you just have to step back and build that relationship with God first. And so today we want to talk about, just taking our focus off of ourselves, taking our focus off the other people in our life and putting it back on ourselves. Because in order for us to be better, we have to actually become better. So today, I know for me, sometimes, especially for a relationship, I tend to have expectations for the other person, and I seem to kind of get disappointed sometimes because the expectations that I have, they may not be the expectations that the other person can carry out, or it may not even be the expectations that God really wants me to be worried about, other than just being the person that I'm supposed to be.
Yes, and speaking on expectations, like the vet was discussing, expectations can really bring a lot of division and strife into your relationships because relationships, when we have high expectations for ourselves and other people, and when they don't meet that expectations, we have a tendency to practically get upset with the person. But we have to start with ourselves first. We have to look within ourselves and find out, you know, what is it that truly makes us happy. Because we cannot look for happiness in other individuals. We have to seek within ourselves and to know what makes us happy. A lot of people don't even realize what makes them happy.
Right.
So we have to, just set that aside because having those high expectations for other people, it has a tendency to let you down because you want so much for this person to meet all those expectations, and when they don't, you get upset with the person. And then, that, like I said, that brings division, that brings strife, that brings a resentment. It will bring resentment into your relationship.
Yes. And I never thought that. And I've been married before. And it's like, but my walk is different now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why I'm looking at different things different, because I know when I have prayed and asked God to make me the woman for the man that He has for me, I never thought to also say, take away my expectations. But if I'm trusting God, I shouldn't really have any expectations other than God sending the person that we can work together as a team, because I'm trusting God anyway. So since I'm trusting God, that means that God is going to make sure all of my expectations
are met.
But I
That's
never
right.
thought about it like that, and I put a lot of pressure on this relationship that I'm in, that I just celebrated a year, and I just feel like I took this guy through a lot of ups and downs because, one, I had these expectations of what a relationship I thought I wanted
should look like.
Exactly. And when it all boiled down to it, it's really about what we wanted.
About what we want, right.
And not what everybody else has painted this picture. And
To
even
be.
for me, I expected for our relationship to be like my past relationships,
Right.
but technically that was unrealistic.
It's
And
very unrealistic.
I set myself
because,
up.
Right, because everybody is different, and when dealing, especially with past relationships, you know how a person say, don't bring the luggage in
Yes.
into a relationship.
Yes.
That's exactly what it's referring to, because we can't do that, and we have to remember and be cognizant of that, because it will bring all kind of problems, because you're comparing your past relationship with the relationship that you want.
That's it.
Because that last relationship it didn't work,
Right.
because of your expectations.
That's so
now
right.
you in a new relationship, and you still expecting for that person to meet those expectations that you had.
That's right.
In your head.
Right.
And so we just got to remember that we're all human, and
Yes.
that we all have our imperfections.
Yes.
And we can expect for someone to meet all of those
That's it.
expectations,
Right.
you know, because even God himself is not gonna, you know, I mean, he made us, you know,
Right.
wonderful, and he made us beautiful and everything like that. But we, as like I was telling you earlier, that we as little girls,
Yes.
when we come up,
Yes.
we already have this picture in our head of our
Yes.
knight in shining armor.
That's it.
Right? So when they come to us and they just, you know, they might just be a plain knight,
That's it.
but we can't accept that that's who they are.
Right.
Especially when you start having a relationship in the beginning. We have a tendency to kind of compromise a little bit
Yes.
because we don't, you know, because we're in that first
Right.
stage of a relationship, and the first phase of a relationship, you know, we're happy with one another.
Yes.
Then I mean, we don't see any imperfection in them then, right?
Exactly.
We don't see any of
Right.
that.
Mhm.
And so, you know, a little bit of background about me, from a marriage perspective. I've been married now for almost 15 years, and along the way, of course, I had a lot of expectations in my head about what my husband is supposed to be.
Right.
And I can tell you now, half of those expectation has not happened, okay?
Right.
But I'm still married. But I had to come to grips that, you know, I had set these high bars for him. And I wanted him, I had pictured in my head how I wanted him to be. And that's something that we cannot do. The only thing that we can do is change ourselves.
Yes.
We have to know, if we keep getting the same results over and over again
That's it.
from other people, then, you know, it's something wrong there. You
Right.
know, we can't anticipate the same, you know, we anticipating the same results. If we getting the same results, that means that we got to change something.
Right.
You know, and we don't have any control over changing someone else, but we have control over changing ourselves. So we have to look within
Yes.
ourselves.
You know, but we don't want to do that though.
Of course.
If I mean, because as a single person, we get from other single women and even some married women. You know, they tell us, you know, do you be by yourself? You know, you're great, you're wonderful, you don't need a man. But that's not really how God designed it. And I think for some of us women, we get into that bubble of we don't need a man because we could do this and we could do that. Yes, but at the same time, that's not really what God wants us to do.
No.
We can't multiply. You know, He wanted us to be with a man to multiply.
Yeah.
Per se, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I got caught up in that whole hype of being single. You don't need a man. You don't need this. And then when I got into a relationship, it was one of those things. It's like, but I forgot to just still focus on me.
Right.
I started looking at all his flaws, and then I was like, wait a minute. If I'm so nitpicky about his flaws, where am I falling short at?
Where are you falling short? That's right.
So I had to step back and realize that, you know what? Stop focusing so much on him and accept him for who he is.
Yes.
And guess what? I've been doing that now for the last 3 weeks now. I guess it's been 3 or 4 weeks. My relationship with the guy that I've been seeing has been amazing. He still walks around in shock, like, are you sure you're okay? Are you sure we're okay? And I'm like, yeah, what's wrong? Because I'm stopped taking the focus off of him, and I'm learning to stop voicing every little opinion about what I'm thinking.
Right. Right. Right.
And that's hard sometimes for
Yeah,
us,
it
because
is.
especially I can be passive aggressive, and I can be very passive aggressive. And so sometimes, with that being said, I tend to let my mouth just run.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I-
Yeah.
That's hard for me,
Yeah.
you know, and that's one of the things talking to you, you've kind of like, you know, kind of said, you know, you may not need to voice every little thing.
Right. Right. Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is so true. You don't need to voice every little thing, because you gotta respect the other person's opinion, regardless of whether it's different from yours or not. That doesn't make to say that it's wrong or that it's right. And you have to learn to kind of pick your battles, so to
Yes.
speak. So a lot of times, you know, we have these trigger points, right?
Yes.
And so we have to know what those trigger points are. So when we're talking about this, I mean, you know for yourself. If you
Yes.
know yourself, you
Yes.
know what your trigger points are,
Yes.
right? So you don't want, and if you've been with a person long enough, like I said, I've been with my husband long enough to know what his trigger points are,
Right.
right? It took me a while, but I had to say to myself, I respect your opinion, but I still have an opinion.
Right.
But as long as you respect the other person's
Right.
opinion, that not necessarily say that you know that you upset because they disagree with you,
Right.
or something
Right.
like that. But you have to know each other's trigger points. I think that's the most important
Yes.
thing is, and so that goes back to knowing yourself.
That's it.
You know what triggers you,
Right.
what can set you off.
Yes.
To possibly start an argument or to
Yes.
start anything, or
Mhm.
and then to when you get into this assumptions, also assumptions
Yes.
also is another thing. Don't automatically assume. That goes back to how you feel about yourself. Don't automatically assume how the other person is going to respond to you.
I know that's very bad for me.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that. I'm really and we're starting to in our relationship. We're starting to pay attention to the little things that triggers him, the little things that trigger me,
Okay.
and when we notice it, we say, "Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I apologize for assuming you were going to do this. I
Right.
apologize for assuming you were going to say that."
Right.
And then we would also acknowledge, you know what? I know what sets you off now. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yes.
So I really thank Anita for today. And we got to continue this discussion because it is so deep and we have so much more to talk about.
Oh, yes.
So, just about just life changes, period.
Yes.
It's just having a better relationship with God anyway. It's like you said, it starts with us, but it's just relationships, period, is something that, I think that a lot of people really want to focus on, because everybody now is all about self.
Yes.
And so we gotta get out of that self mode.
Yes.
So I really, really hope today this message and this was uplifting and encouraging for you to want to change and also just become the better person for yourself, so
Yes.
you can be the best person for the person that's in your relationship.
Right.
And so I really look forward to you talking to me and Anita again,
Yes.
and we will talk again. So
Yes.
please look forward to us, and we look forward to
To
you.
you.
Hello, bye.
God bless.